Alright, here we are for Gear Chronicles. I'm the Vanguardian here with another Gear with a deck profile actually this time for Gear Chronicles. Here we go. So you got your starter. It's only one, so you got to use it. Next up for our triggers, we run. Oopsies, I forgot to do that. We run 4 of the Draw PG. 4 of the critical trigger. Well, we run 8 crit. And then 4 heal now. What you can do is that you can actually run 6 draw if you really need to. I only think you need 4, to be honest, and the crits help, but that's just my personal playstyle. You can do it however you like, or however you want. It's up to you and how you like to play. I screwed up here. So I did not sort the grade 1s. So we run 3 of Steam of this guy. Now you can run 2 or how many you want. What its skill is that when you boost, you Soul Blast 1, and then opponent can only call 3 Guardians, and then he's bound, so he's accelerating your binding and giving you more cards to bind at the end of the turn. I like him, that's why I run him at 3, because it gives your opponent a... it's great for putting your opponent into a bind, because it makes them think, okay, do I use my PG now, or do I save it? It puts them into a part where it's like, if I'm coming in a huge attack with big numbers, then they have to use their PG, or if they don't have a PG in hand, then they have to take the hit, and that's what makes this card really versatile, really nice. 2 of... I cannot pronounce her name, but 2 of Steam Fighter Ni. I think that's what her name is. I have no clue. She's pretty good. You only run her at 2. She's not that good. When your Vanguard is placed, you can discard a card, draw a card. 3 units get 5k. She's most likely going to stay on the field. She's only 16 base, so that brings her down a little bit more, but the reason why I run 2 is because of her skill, which allows you to draw a card, discard a card, filter out your cards that you need and that you don't need. Possibly put a grade 4 into drop zone for the next card that I'm going to be discussing, which is... and then you get the power as well, so that helps, which is Quickie Worker. And we run her at 3. Her skill is, when placed from hand, put up to 1 card from our drop zone back at the bottom of our deck, which is very nice because it lets us put cards back that we need. And if you put a grade 3 or greater, Soul Blast 2, draw a card. You don't need your soul that much, so that's a really nice skill that you'll be using most often, because what you're going to want to do is that you're going to want to recycle those grade 4s back into your deck. Or you can recycle a trigger or whatever you need in order to make it, in order to make her help. The only downside is that she's from hand, so what you want to do is, and that's why you run 3. Some people run 4. I don't think that's necessary, because you're not going to be using her that much, but you're going to be using her a decent amount. Next up is our last, this is the last of our grade 1s, which is our Stride Fodder. Wedge Move Dragon. Basically, his skill is that when he's on Vanguard, if his attack hits, you bind a card, so it helps you accelerate your bind, and then you draw a card. So it lets you draw and lets you filter out the cards that you need in your hand and your bind. He's also counts as a grade 3 in hand, which lets us stride from our deck, so that's very useful. That's why we run him at 4. He's your main right target. Alright, on to the grade 2s. We have... Oh, that was easy. 2 of Gunblitz Dragon. I only run 2 of him because he's 9k. His skill helps, but it's Counterblast, and he's gone at the end of the turn. His skill is when it attacks, Counterblast 1. This unit gets 5k for each grade of your Vanguard. So if you're on grade 4, it's 2,000, 15k, 10k, etc., etc. And he accelerates your bind zone cost because he binds himself at the end, but I only run 2 because of that. He's only there for 1 attack. Next up, we have Steam Mechanic Nabu. What she does is she when it attacks, bind a card from drop zone, and your opponent cannot call grade 1 or greater cards from his or her hand until the end of the battle. And then at the end of that turn, or that battle, this card gets shoved into Soul, and you get to draw a card. Now, it's great. It's a good card, except if you don't have cards in your drop zone, you can't really use her, and it's from the drop zone. So you might have to bind a grade 0 just to get the skill off. That's why I only run 2 of her, because you need the cards in your drop zone to be able to use her efficiently, and I don't feel like I do that enough. I don't put enough cards in drop zone to warrant running more of her. The next card that we have is Steam Hunter Lippet. Probably said that name wrong, but whatever. Her skill is when placed from hand, bind a card from drop zone, and this unit gets 3k. The reason when I run 3 of her instead of 2, and the reason why I want run of Nabu is because she's from hand, not during battle, and I like that a lot more. And the other reason is because she doesn't instantly go away. She doesn't instantly go away, and she gets 3k. I just like her more than I like Nabu. It's personal preference on this, why I run 3. I find it works better, and it's a lot easier for me to use. But I might be switching that up depending on how things go. And then I have 4 of Lost Break Dragon. His skill on Vanguard or Rearguard. Oh, Rearguard, Rearguard, Rearguard. I should be saying that, but I forgot. Yay. Bind a card from your hand and draw a card. So he basically is another filter card, which helps a lot. And he's on play, so that is another benefit. And then during your turn, if your bind zone has a face-up card in it, this unit gets plus 3k, so that helps a lot. So he's a constant 13k on your turn, which helps, and it's useful. That's why I run 4 of him, sorry. And he's a very useful card just to have around. Next up, we've got the grade 3 lineup, which I think is going to surprise some people. We run 1, and only 1, of Screwed Dragon. The reason why I run him is to make sure I don't get grade stuck. His skill is nice too. He's a when attacks the Vanguard or Rearguard, Counterblast 1, bind one of my other units, choose one of my opponent's cards with a grade less than the bound unit, and my opponent must then put that card at the bottom of the deck. If it was put at the bottom of the deck, draw a card. So it's very useful and very nice to have around. I only run 1. And I run 1. It helps you get grade stuck less because that gives you more grade 3s in your deck. And it's worth it to have more because if you get 2 grade stuck, then you're dead. The next card, obviously, we're going to run is your staple grade 3, which is Lost Legend. I'm not saying the whole name. His skill is that I have on Vanguard, it's an act. Discard a card with the sum of the grades of 3 or higher from her hand. Search your deck for up to one grade 4, write it, and stand, and shuffle your deck. At the end of this turn, retire that unit, and and ride a grade 3 from your soul as rest. Obviously, you know what you use him for. Use him to get your grade 4s out, and use him to help you. Oh, and his second skill helps when rode upon Counterblast 2, draw a card. You're not going to use your Counterblast as much because most of your skills are for free in this deck, so it's very nice to use. The only things to use Counterblast really are this guy, and I believe a great, yeah, and Gunbless, I believe. So you can get his skill off a lot, and he's just yeah, that's about it. You know what I'm pretty sure if you're watching this, you know what Gear Chronicle does, so. And then finally to the grade 4s, what we do is we run 2 idealized dragons. It helps out with the bind. It's got decent skills. I'm not going to read every single skill it's got. But it's a nice, useful grade 4 if you can't get out your mystery flares, or you don't want to bind a mystery flare. And then we run 3 mystery flare. Now you can run, if you want, instead of what I run, you cannot run this guy, and you can instead run 4 mystery flare. I find 3 to be a lot more useful and necessary because 5 grade 4s makes it a lot nicer on the deck and easier to use, instead of using just 4 grade 3s and 6 grade 4s. So what's going to happen is you're going to get grade stuck a lot easier, and getting into these 2 is going to be a lot harder. These 2 are the reasons why you bind a lot more. It's because you can use their skills and you can get off effects a lot nicer and easier. But then there's also the part of you need to get on grade 3 first to use them. So that's why we have these. That's why we only run 5. So we don't want to see these guys. We want them in the deck. It also helps a lot. And if we don't see these guys at all, except for when we search them, it's a good game. If we do see them, then we're kind of in trouble a little bit, unless you use them for your PG cost or another discard cost or another bind cost that the deck has. You want to see these guys more in your deck or in your drop zone, so you can either bind them or return them. Returning them with Quickie Worker's skill, or binding them with skills like Naboo or Lipid, using their skills to bind them from the drop zone. You can also, if they're in your hand and they're cluttering your hand, you can bind them using Lost Break skill, or you can discard them with Meimane's skill, or you can use Wedge if he's on the Vanguard circle. This deck, overall thoughts on this deck and how it plays. It's not the Gear Chronicles I'm used to. I mostly played the aggro. I played Zodiac Time Beasts. That was my deck. However, this deck is fun. It can be very clunky, so you need to time your plays right. You need to get your pieces in your hand. You need to do everything like that. So it gets a little bulky. But if you play it right, then it can be very dangerous. Some matchups that it does really well against some Protect clans. Some Protect clans it can do decent against. Most Excel clans it does really well against, especially if you are facing... the deck's going everywhere. Especially if you're facing up against Narukami. You just have to be careful of their rush, because they're going to bind for you, so you'll get your binds off. You just have to be very careful of them rushing you, and you going to 6 damage very quickly, because that's what they're going to do. And then I guess a big matchup that you want to watch against is going to be a big matchup that really hurts it is actually Deleters and Link Joker in general, because since the card is face down, you do not get the grade at all for the card, so that becomes, it has to be face up for their skills to actually go off. Yeah, because they specifically say face up cards in your, so that's a deck that really hurts you. And most Protect clans get you, like obviously OTT, Angel Feather, ones that can get gifts very easily hurt you. Another deck that actually hurts a decent amount is Nubataba, with their bouncing cards back from hand and such. So those are the things you need to look out for. And those are some of the matchups they can do. I don't mind this deck. This deck is fun. It's not a deck that I would say I would take to regionals or Springfest or anything, but it's a fun deck, and I enjoy it. I hope you liked this deck profile video, and I hope you have fun with this deck. See you guys.